Oiyo Boyo.
Oiyo Boyo.
Sid Stratton here.
Ryan McMillian here.
And welcome to the Oiyo Boyos podcast. Today we're going to be covering the new Supergirl movie. We're going to be doing a spoiler-free review, and then we're going to do a spoiler review. So, warning right now, you don't have to skip. If you haven't seen the movie, no worries. We're going to do the spoiler-free. Would you like to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Sure. First, let's give our kind of general rating out of 10.
Yeah, out of 10, I would give a 7 out of 10.
I'd give like a 6 or 7 out of 10.
Oh, 6, 7.
6, 7.
6, 7 out of 10.
Yeah, there's things that like I really like about it and some things that I really don't. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of in the middle of whether to give it that 7 out of 10 or be like, actually, it might be more of a 6.
That's fair.
We'll see.
I guess we'll dive deeper into where it's going to maybe a 6.5. Who knows?
6.5.
6.5. I mean, I guess we'll can see when we go more in the spoiler review. Maybe by the end we'll change our mind. But right now, I think spoiler free, 7 out of 10. Let's start with some of the fun stuff. So action. I think the action was really fun in this movie. I thought the music was great. Want more Lobo, want more Supergirl. The casting I thought was top notch. I didn't feel like anyone was out of place casting wise. What were you thinking?
I'm kind of thinking the same thing, that like I don't think there's a miscast in the movie, and that most of what weighs it down isn't things outside of their control.
Yeah.
So
I think the villain was a good villain, but not a great villain. I think that's maybe where the movie suffered, because I don't know. I really like Supergirl in it, but I think maybe my problem, they can't help this, is I wanted like a Wonder Woman or Batman, and we were just talking about this before coming on air. It's like you kick it off with Batman, or you kick it off with Superman, but then we want the Trinity. I feel like that's what we're looking for, and I'm not saying Supergirl's not a great character. She is, but when you're starting a new DC universe, why aren't you starting with your big three?
yeah, and me being a massive Wonder Woman fan, I'm like, where's our Wonder Woman?
Yeah,
anything.
Wonder Woman's going through it right now. Wonder Woman's getting no love, and I don't understand why that is. Her video games gets canceled. Her Absolute comic series is great. Absolute Wonder Woman is amazing. If you haven't read it, top tier. Almost the entirety of the Absolute universe. I mean, their comics are selling like hotcakes. The stories are great. One of the things that I think shines of this movie, though, going back, is that casting. I really do feel like they captured the essence of Supergirl in a great way. I love this version. It is very Tom King's, right? You're more of the comics guy. This Supergirl is very much a Tom King Supergirl, right?
Very much Tom King, yeah.
And I think that's what the movie does well, is this character-driven story of Supergirl going on her hero's journey from where it starts to where it ends. I really like how that happens. Again, trying to stay spoiler-free for this part of the review. But I think those are some of my highlights. And again, my main thing is just good villain, not a great villain. Could have been great, but maybe you have to read too much into it to understand why it's a great villain. I will say I like the villain, Krem of the Yellow Hills, better in the movie than in the comic books. I don't think he was a great villain in the comics. I really liked him in the movie, but I think he could have been better still.
Sure, yeah. I will say that in the writing department, there are things that I struggle with, but Supergirl herself does have a nice arc.
Yes. I think that's really... Do you have anything else you want to add to the spoiler-free part of the review?
I guess not a spoiler, but we'll go more into detail later, is that there's things in the direction that I'm not really a fan of.
As in, like, the director, or where the direction of the story?
As like the director, which, don't get me wrong, Craig Gillespie does do some cool stuff. Like, I enjoyed the Fright Night remake, but there's just some... I don't know.
Weren't we saying, like, earlier it's James Gunn light?
Exactly, yeah.
It seems like they were doing their best, almost trying to impersonate James Gunn, but didn't capture that exact James Gunn magic, I think is the best way to put it. Do you think?
And I think they were trying to kind of do it the opposite way around, where they're trying to make sort of a darker, more kind of crime thriller, space western story, but with the feeling of a superhero movie, as opposed to having the feel of those genres in a superhero setting.
Kind of going back to Wonder Woman, that what you said just made me think of something. I remember when that first Wonder Woman movie came out, and I forgot it was a superhero because the movie was just a great war movie.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, and Wonder Woman just happens to be in this war movie. And maybe that's what they were trying to do, but weren't able to do.
It's got like the opposite problem where it's like it's a superhero movie and it feels like a superhero movie, but I'm like, oh, I forget that it's actually supposed to be these things.
Yes. Okay. I see. Yeah. It's almost like they got it flip flopped.
Yeah, and I don't like that at all.
Understandable. Understandable. Well, now let's get into the spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, this is the part where you stop, just listen to that first part of the video, go see the movie, and then come back to this part of the review. So, for the spoiler review, I got a lot of notes here that I got to go over. One thing that I did not like at all, the intro, or not the intro, the part where you first meet Krem of the Yellow Hills and he kills one of the protagonist's family, kills her brother, kills her mom, kills her dad. I felt like we went over that too fast. And that's something that felt a little, it reminds me of those early Marvel movies where stakes would be high, something like life-changing or massive plot twist would happen, and then they would just skip right over it and get to the next thing and hurry up. And I felt like Krem's setup just was almost overglossed. You know, it was more of like, hey, we got to just show you who this guy is and then get on with the rest of the movie. I didn't feel like they took the time to really explain why Krem is such a horrendous person. You see more throughout the movie, but a lot of it you got to kind of read between the lines.
Yeah.
Because there's some serious... just seriously horrendous things that Krem does in the movie and that they allude to, like trafficking. He's a trafficker. You'll see in the movie he's trying to repopulate his race to be all males, but he does it by abducting children of other worlds. And it's pretty just grotesque. And so but they don't outrightly say that these are kids he's abducting and doing these things to. They kind of reference it and you kind of see a little bit of it, but it makes you hate him. And if they would have set him up like that rather than find out later, I feel like from the beginning you would hate him worse. Another thing that I'm really kind of getting tired of is in James Gunn's DC movies, and even go back to his Marvel movies, I think we've had 6 of his projects in a row where it's about like the animal cruelties in there. You had it at the end of our Guardians of the Galaxy 3. You had it in Peacemaker with Eagly, both season 1 and season 2. In Creature Commandos, you had it happen with Weasel. In Superman and in Supergirl, you have it with Crypto. I'm kind of getting tired of the animals always getting abused, and it's a great way to establish this is a bad person if they hurt an animal. Like, that really gets me going, and that really made me hate Lex Luthor and Superman, so it really got me on board with wanting to see his comeuppance, and I feel like they delivered on the comeuppance of Lex Luthor. In Supergirl, I don't feel like they did that with Krem. Now, granted, Krem is executed by Supergirl, but the horrendous things he was doing throughout the movie, that build up to the end, I don't feel like they executed it in a severe enough way. I'm glad that they killed him. I'm glad that Supergirl, you know, she stabs him in the chest and then she stabs him in the neck, gets the antidote and saves her dog. So the dog, Crypto, doesn't die, which is great. But I just kind of wish a little bit more. You pointed out she did crush him pretty good, break all of his bones. I'm like, that is true. But he still looked fine. He didn't look beat up, and he was still super cocky. And that's just something I'm kind of getting tired of, is the animal abuse in movies. I'm just, find something else, please.
Yeah, now that you pointed it out, they really overplayed their hand with that. Stop it.
My note here was leave Crypto alone.
Leave Crypto.
Stop it. Leave him alone. That covers the villain death, too. And kind of going over the James Gunn light, there were some action sequences that seemed right out of James Gunn movies, but not for the better. There's that scene in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 where you're focused in the opening of Baby Groot while there's this awesome battle going on behind Baby Groot, and you're just focused on Baby Groot dancing. Kind of does that in the bar fight where you're focused on one of the other protagonists, not Supergirl kicking butt in the bar. And same thing at the end. It's just like the secondary protagonist. I can't remember her name. What was her name?
That's kind of another issue.
That's another issue right there. I can't remember her name. It's the one whose family gets murdered, and she goes out and she gets Supergirl to help her hunt down Krem. At the ending battle, you're seeing like, you're going kind of panoramic. Is that the right word? You're just following her gaze as she's seeing Supergirl do all these incredible things, and Supergirl's kind of like in a dust cloud, just kicking everyone's butt. but you're seeing it from her point of view instead of Supergirl's point of view. If I'm going to see a Supergirl movie, I want to see Supergirl's point of view of her kicking butt.
Yeah, think of it like in Superman when Lois Lane's in the bubble and Mr. Terrific spheres are going all around her. Mm-hmm. It's that. And I'm like, we literally saw this in the last entry.
Yeah.
Why are you doing it twice?
Yeah, it's a lot of copy and paste. And, throughout these episodes of the podcast, you're going to find that I really hate copy and paste plots or even scenes that just keep doing them over and over because that makes them less special, in my opinion. That's why I don't like Batman Begins and Man of Steel, which will be a hot take for another day. But Man of Steel is just copy and paste of Batman Begins, and I don't enjoy that. And I'm getting really tired of that. It almost feels like lazy writing and lazy filmmaking. Now, there's a lot of money, a lot of effort, a lot of talent that goes into making movies. No need to copy and paste a lot of these sections. I don't understand it.
Yeah. I don't want to keep like throwing stones at Krem, but I do want to preface that like a lot of my issues with him have nothing to do with the actor. I think the actor did all he could, honestly, and gave some little bits of personality to really not a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel that he kind of stumbles into the role of an antagonist. Like, yeah, I get his mission and I get that he does it through awful ways, but there's nothing that tells me that he's sold on that other than he just kind of does it.
Yeah, like he doesn't really have a reason.
Yeah.
Also, it's like, I don't think Supergirl would have cared if he wouldn't have stole her ship.
Yeah.
She would have just been like, good luck on your journey. And the only reason why she got involved is because he stole her ship and shot Crypto.
Yeah.
And then you notice he walks by everyone else's ships. There's a bunch of ships in the field, and he just so happens to pick hers.
Yeah, that's weird.
Don't understand it. I will say, too, there was something else. I'm a massive Green Lantern fan. I love Green Lantern in the comics. I was waiting for Green Lantern to show up, and I thought that, like, I know Lobo was already going to be in it, but I was waiting for more surprises like that. You're telling me in the entire galaxy you have all these Green Lanterns with their different sectors, and there's all these horrible things going on in these different galaxies and worlds that Supergirl's visiting, and there's no Green Lantern anywhere, and there's all these horrendous criminals? It doesn't make sense to me at all, and that's one thing I did love about Superman is that heroes already exist. We're not having to start from scratch and build up. It's like everyone's already there, and we're going to come across stories where we introduce you to them. If you're in a space epic, why aren't you including Green Lanterns? I'm not saying you got to get like Hal Jordan in there, but why not like Kilowog or Tomare? Like, why not one of them? And it's just like, it doesn't have to be a main part, but it could have been something fun. So there's like a bunch of scenes where I'm like, oh, that would have been really cool to see a Green Lantern there. I don't know. That might be a small gripe. Maybe no one else thought that, but it just felt like something like that was missing. And I know it's not part of the comics, but a lot of these movies aren't like the comics. All right, they're inspired by, but they don't stick to them strictly.
Yeah. Although I will say that I do like the inclusion of Tom King in the writing process of this movie. Mm-hmm. I mean, your mileage is going to vary on Tom King because
lots of pros, lots of cons.
Lots of pros, lots of cons. There's good runs, there's bad runs. But at the end of the day, it is his story, so I do like him having a hand in it being adapted. That being said, though, I wish that the visuals from the comic were adapted. Because they look great, and certain parts of this movie just don't look like that.
Kind of dull,
kind of dull,
for sure. Especially the ending battle. It was really cool with the Kryptonite Green Sun. I'm not sure if it was a Kryptonite sun or it was just green radiation was killing her. And it was like, all right, these visuals are cool. And then the final battle was just bleak grays.
Sand,
very sand. Anakin would not have been a fan.
No, he would have hated that.
But it didn't make sense to me because in the Suicide Squad and in Superman, you had a lot of bright colors. And I'm not saying it needs to be bright. Every movie needs to be like it. But if you're taking from the comics, and we've seen James Gunn's track record. Again, I know he's not directing, but we've kind of stated at the beginning of the podcast that it seems like a James Gunn light movie.
Yeah.
And it seems like this is where they kind of just decided not to go with that, which was a wrong time to decide that, I thought.
I'm sure that they have their reasons, but I don't care because Woman of Tomorrow had like I don't care. I don't care. It had a very distinct visual palette, and I would have liked to have seen that translated to a screen. And when a comic book comes out, it's multiple people have their hand on that, and I give the artist the same weight as I give the writer.
I was hoping we would see something like in the Suicide Squad when Harley is escaping that prison, and it was like colors everywhere, and it was bright, and it was awesome. And I'm like, oh, we're gonna see something like that, and we didn't. And I will say, my expectations going into the movie, I believe I'm a lot higher on the movie than a lot of other people are. Because I was going in and expecting it to be like the Birds of Prey movie, where it's like you had your main antagonist, and then they had their secondary or main protagonist, and then their secondary protagonist as kind of like their, you know, ride along, shall we say, and it's just like their little sidekick, try to go on and do a story, and that's what I was kind of worried was going to happen. So when that didn't happen, it wasn't as bad as that. I was like, oh, it's a win then. So I think I'm a little bit higher on it than you are.
Yeah, I will say that, like, I think people are kind of pooping on it a little too much.
Yeah, I don't get all the hate for the Supergirl movie. I know some of the things that we picked out here, especially in the spoiler part, where it's like going in, it's more like picking on like, hey, the villain could have been better. Some of these shots here, what we're complaining about the action scenes. There's only 2 action scenes that I'm complaining about in the whole entire movie, and then that color part that we're talking about only happened maybe twice in the movie as well. So these are very small things, but the biggest part is just the villain, I think, could have been better, but the casting was great. The music was great. The music was a lot of fun. The way it was shot, like the camera angles and everything, I thought was really cool. Lobo is amazing. And plus it had the ending too. I'm a big Batman Forever fan. We all know this. And she pulls a Batman Forever in the end, kind of like when Batman's like, hey, Robin, you know, you don't want to be murderer. You're going to have to live with that for the rest of your life. Don't murder Two-Face. And then goes and Batman murders Two-Face. Supergirl does that. Supergirl's like, hey, you don't want to murder Krem. That's going to live with you forever. Now walk away. And then proceeds to murder Krem. It was awesome, and I love that part of the movie. I was like, thank God she did it, because she's not killing anyone throughout the whole movie. And finally she kills Krem in the end. And I was like, thank you. Thank you for pulling the trigger and having your protagonist kill the villain there. It was just deserved. It was perfect, because I'm like, if they just let him go, he's going to go do these horrendous things to all these people again.
Yeah, like he crosses that threshold of villainy where you're like, okay, this guy needs to die by the end of the story.
Yes, and I'm glad that they did that, because there was a payoff. And again, my only other gripe was that I don't feel like the payoff was as... I don't know. It just wasn't as big as I was hoping. I'm glad she killed him, but I wish, personally, it was a little more brutal, because he was doing some horrific things. He was slaughtering families, abducting children. He was abducting little girls. He was poisoning dogs. I'm like, this guy, he's a piece of work. He's a real bad dude. Yeah, that's, again, a lot of pros, I feel like. So I don't get this Supergirl's a horrible movie, but that's just my opinion.
A flawed movie, yes. Horrible, no. It's not Birds of Prey.
Yeah, it's not Birds of Prey. I'm seeing a lot of people say it's like one of the worst like DC movies put out. I'm like, have you not seen Catwoman? Like, have you? And people are saying like, yeah, hasn't done as good as Shazam: Fury of the Gods or the Marvels and stuff like that. I'm like, this movie was way better than any of those projects. Like, this movie does not deserve that kind of hate. Is it a fantastic S tier movie? No. I would say it's like around high C, low B. If I had to put it on a grading scale, that's for my 7 out of 10. So maybe it's like, a 7.7 out of 10. High C, low B.
Sure.
Yeah. I will say, too, there were some parts where Lobo reminded me of Jared Leto's Joker. When he was captured getting out, and he said a few things, and I was like, that sounds like Jared Leto's Joker. So I remember we were leaving the theater, and you were like, do not say that.
Yeah, but don't, bro.
I was like, wait a minute. That was very Leto-like. So I didn't mind it. I thought it works for Lobo better than it works for Jared Leto's Joker. So I dug it, loved it. Lobo's great.
Okay.
Yeah, you're like, I don't see it.
Yeah, I'm like, we got this great Lobo. Why are you invoking the Jared Leto Joker?
Just the rage baiting. I love rage baiting.
Sure.
But that's all the notes I had. Do you have any more spoiler parts that you'd like to go into?
I guess we could just go into our notes, like, going forward. Like, this was a thing that happened.
Yes.
what do we want to see going forward?
Well, I feel like we've seen Supergirl's hero's journey. Now we have her as an established hero. Now she's back on Earth by the end of it. She wants to be there and work with Superman and make the world a better place, which I think is great. I'm really excited to see where we go from here. I'm glad that it's not going to be another movie where she's trying to figure herself out, what she's want to do, and not dragging out the storylines. I hate when a story drags. And I will say this story did not drag for me. I want to see going forward her becoming more integral part of the Justice League or Justice Society, however that may be. I'm interested to see how she's going to work with other Lanterns, with Hawkgirl, with all these other heroes. I think it's going to be a fun dynamic. I can't wait to see her work with Superman, and hopefully we see something where she fights Darkseid. I would love to see that storyline where she gets involved in that aspect.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Yes, especially for Man of Tomorrow, though, with Brainiac. I think that's going to be a great time. Argo, her planet, when the city gets bubbled off and they're all dying of radiation poisoning. Or, no, not radiation.
Kryptonite.
Kryptonite poisoning. I'm wondering if in the next movie we're going to see that Brainiac went and shrunk the city and is keeping it. Like he does in the comics and stuff. So I'm really, really excited to see where we're going to go for Man of Tomorrow.
I'll say it's in a perfect position for him to just yoink it.
Yeah, exactly. It's right there.
It's right there.
He's
he doesn't have to do anything.
For the taking.
Yeah.
You know, if anyone survived in there, maybe he's somehow able to keep him alive so he could study him, so he can be that collector sort. So I think we're set up to go great places. Where Supergirl left off, I feel like Man of Tomorrow is going to be an amazing movie. I still feel like the DCU, I don't see this as a blemish on its track record. The worst thing in the DCU right now, I feel like personally, is Creature Commandos. I don't think that lived up to the hype. I feel like the ending kind of let us down, but the Suicide Squad, both seasons of Peacemaker, Superman, Supergirl, and Creature Commandos, you got 6 projects in this DCU that are out so far. And I think Supergirl fits right in with it. I don't think, again, this is a blemish on that track record. I feel like it enriches the story, and I'm excited to see where we're going with it.
Yeah, it's a flawed entry for sure, but it's not one that basically turns off my interest from the DCU. I actually still want to see more.
Yeah. I want to see more of these characters that have been introduced, especially Lobo and Supergirl. You can tell at the end, Lobo watched Supergirl execute Krem. And you see him in the distance, like, okay, so I'm wondering more team ups with them. I'm very excited to see where it's going to go.
And I'm also curious to see where this more actualized version of Supergirl goes.
Yes. So great things in the future for the DCU. I'm very excited to see it. Can't wait for Man of Tomorrow again. Supergirl, final review. 7.7 out of 10, I would say. What about you?
Go 6.5.
6.5. There we go. So that's the review. And thank you for joining us for this episode of Oiyo Boyos podcast, where we're doing the Supergirl review. We'll see you guys next time.
See you next time.